You're listening to episode 64, Mijha's story, a daughter with triplication of genes on chromosome 15q. Hi, and welcome to the Child Life On Call podcast. When your child is sick, the whole world seems to stop in its tracks. Plans and priorities change, and your number one job becomes figuring out how to get your child well again. For some of us, rest, medications, and relaxation can do the trick. But for others, it takes more. It takes countless doctor appointments, invasive medical testing, therapy, surgeries, the list goes on, and then you still may not have all of the answers or results you were hoping for. This podcast features parents of children that have an illness or medical condition and gives them a place to share their own journeys and experiences. We will talk about the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows, but one thing seems to remain the same. Children are resilient and teach us more about ourselves and the world than we could ever imagine. Thank you so much for lending a listening ear and opening up your heart to these families and this podcast. I'm your host, Katie Taylor.
I think it's all right to be angry because for me, that was part of those stages of grief, of letting go of the family that I thought I was going to have, to be able to finally embrace the family that I have.
Today, I have the honor of sharing my conversation with Mijha Godfrey. Mijha is the founder of Jambo Books, which is a subscription book service for children that is dedicated to ensuring that children learn that all people are important and all people belong. Jambo Book Club believes that it is important for children to read stories about children that look like them and their neighbors who don't look like them. So yeah, as soon as I heard about Jambo Books, I immediately subscribed. So in addition to running a business, Mijha is also the mom to 3 daughters, one of which who has special needs. We talk about what their journey has been like and the extra steps and burden her family carries because they're Black, and that's just the truth of it. It's the truth of the world that we live in. And so not only does Mijha and other Black moms have to be prepared to make the most of their already limited time that they have when they go into physicians' offices, she also has to walk in the room with all of her ducks in a row and have done her due diligence and know how to advocate and know exactly what to wear so that, as she puts it, she's not trifled with. I really hope you share this conversation today with other parents because Mijha has a lot of perspective about how to navigate and advocate in the healthcare system, and a lot of just good nuggets of wisdom and stories to take away that I think a lot of other parents will relate to. And I also want you to share this with medical professionals taking care of children and families because Mijha's story is an important one to hear. Let's get started.
My name is Mijha Godfrey. I live right outside of the city of Atlanta in Decatur, Georgia. And I have 3 daughters and 1 husband. My daughters are 9, 5, and 8 months old.
Man, you're busy.
Oh, yes.
And
of course, they're all at home.
Well, I'm thinking
Yay.
9 months. That's a COVID baby, right?
Yes, she is.
Oh, gosh. Crazy.
Yeah. And I was pregnant. I found out I was pregnant last November. And so when COVID hit, I said, well, I'm not due until like July.
Yeah.
So certainly I'll be able to have a regular birth.
Right.
Not true.
Oh my gosh, you were right in the depths of the hospitals shutting down almost completely, right?
Yeah, it was a little bit better in Georgia at that point,
Okay.
but still we couldn't have any visitors and they wanted me to wear a mask through labor.
Oh man. Did you?
No.
I love that.
I didn't have any medication. There was no chance.
Oh no.
I was like, you might just have to leave. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's kind of funny I work in a NICU, and so we have a transition team. And at that point, we were just so talking about how birth is such I can't think of the word right now, but just like the particles that come out of, your body when you're in labor, they're like, there is spray everywhere, and I never really thought about that before, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So crazy.
That's a very good point. Yeah, and I felt bad, but I was like, "You guys, I can't
Oh,
breathe.
no, no,
Like,
no,
I
no.
can't. I'm
I'm
sorry."
so proud of
And so,
you.
they were all, like, masked up and shielded and everything, so
Totally. Like,
yeah.
what a weird experience to watch people not really look like humans, right? With their shields and their
It
masks.
is.
Yeah.
It is really weird.
Ugh. So, talk to us a little bit about who we're going to be chatting about today and a little bit more about your family.
Well, sure. We're going to be talking about Violet, who is my middle child. She is 5 years old. Violet was born with a genetic anomaly, and it's a very rare one. So, usually, when people have this particular anomaly, it's called a duplication
Mm.
of genes on chromosome 15q. So, the shorthand is dup15q. But Violet actually has a triplication
Oh.
instead of a duplication. And, we found out when she was probably about 3 months old, she was just floppy,
Mm.
at the pediatrician's office. And this pediatrician sent us to a neurologist, and that sort of started this whole journey. I did take a pre a prenatal test,
Mm.
the T21 maternity,
Yeah.
T23, what I think it's called something like that.
Yeah.
And of course, she didn't have Down or any of the like four major
Mm.
things that test actually tests for. So, we thought everything was fine. She did have some irregular heartbeats toward the end of the pregnancy. And so she was with a cardiologist for 2 weeks after the birth. But I mean, for the most part, we thought things were fine. Like, I didn't find out until much later that her APGAR tests were not normal. My husband never told me,
Oh,
and I was sort of like, I don't ever use medication
okay.
because I'm when I'm in labor, because I'm terrified of like having something go really wrong with my lower back
Yeah.
where I already have a lot of trouble. So I'm like, I'll just deal with it.
Yeah.
So um, I just didn't know that anything was going on with her. She had jaundice, but we were told that was pretty normal. And so she was in the NICU for 2 nights. And I do just want to say that NICU nurses are just the most incredible people,
Mm.
just absolutely sent from above. I mean, we were we were we couldn't believe how wonderful the NICU nurses were. We really, really couldn't.
Oh man, that is so nice of you to say, and I completely agree. NICU nurses are just amazing, and it's like the
Seriously.
fact that you could see that through, those first few days are so hazy, and like the fact that that experience stuck out to you is maybe even, an an okay one because the NICU nurses were nice, I think is so huge.
Yeah. I mean, even when you're in that kind of situation, you can feel when kindness
Mm.
and love and care is flowing toward you, and in waves, just the volume of kindness and love and
Oh
care
my
we
gosh,
received
wow.
from the NICU nurses was just it's I think about it all the time. And whenever I meet someone who's a NICU nurse, I'm like,
Yeah.
you,
I do the
you make
same
this
thing.
world good. Thank you.
Oh gosh. I just started working in our NICU about a year and a half ago, and I
Mhm.
didn't actually get peds is a little bit different. We have more boundaries with our patients, and we look at NICU nurses, and I'm like, I feel like they're so much closer with their patients and with their parents, and I get it. It's like they are taking care of your brand new baby. You have to have that
Yeah.
human bond.
Absolutely. And they're just so understanding, and they know how to handle grandparents too, because this was a time, 5 years ago when grandparents could
Sure.
also come and visit the NICU. And just, I mean, I can't say enough.
Oh, that's really cool. Thank you so much for saying that.
Hmm.
So let's talk about, I guess Violet came home and you guys went to that 3 month old well baby appointment. And I'm wondering, because
Right.
you have a 9 year old now. So you had a 4 year old at the time. So you're juggling all of that.
Right, right. And she was actually like three and a
Okay.
half when Violet was born. So it was a lot to juggle. But the interesting thing was my first child was, like some first babies are like really well behaved,
Mm-hmm.
no big drama, not a lot of crying. So the fact that Violet was like that too didn't strike us as being particularly odd.
Mm.
But I do think that the hormones that sort of rush in and make you forget the pain of
Yeah.
delivery um, also make it hard for you to remember those first few months of life, at least for me. So I didn't really recognize at first how sort of out of it Violet was. That she wasn't really alert. She didn't really engage. She slept a lot. But, we were thinking, well, she's, 1 month old. She's 2 months old. Of course, she sleeps a
Mm-hmm.
lot. But it was interesting because my stepmother came to visit and she said, Mijha, this is not normal. Like she is not reacting the way a baby should. And I was like, well, whatever, we'll go to the doctor, but I'm sure she's fine. Um, so it wasn't as hard taking care of Violet as a baby, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Because she didn't fuss, she didn't cry, she slept most of the time, she wasn't engaged. And I just had my youngest, Elizabeth, and oh my God, like what? What? She's in everything. She's all in your face. She's grinning. She's smiling. Like Violet didn't smile for 5 months.
Yeah.
And this one smiled at 5 weeks. And I said, oh my God,
Right.
the difference. Now I can see, oh, this is why my stepmother was like, pump your brakes, Misha.
Yeah.
This is not what's supposed to be happening. Um, but so yeah, so we took her in and we went to the neurologist and this is when I started to have to learn about sort of being an advocate for my child and myself. Um, so doctors, the way practices are set up now, through no fault of their own, but the system that we have, only gives doctors like 3 to 5 minutes with you.
Mm.
I
I
was like, well,
know.
that's obviously not going to work for me. So have a seat.
I love that.
Um, yeah, I would come in with my notebook, my pre-written questions, and they'd ask me, "Are you a doctor?" I'm like, "No, but I could read, so let's talk. What's going on with my child?" So we did have to, change doctors from time to time when like practices get too busy or they just don't have the time to spend to really help us to figure out what's going on with our baby.
Mm. Yeah. I love that you say, like, come in and sit down because, I think I talk to so many physicians that really wish it was that way too, but they
Mhm.
literally just don't have the time. And it is this messed up system where you have to do your homework before you even get in
It's true. It's
so
true.
that you can make the
And
most of your time.
exactly right. And then sometimes I say, look, we just have to extend it. I'm not making another appointment to come back and ask you my next five
Yeah.
questions. So we just have to make it work. Also, I just realized this is not video, so people can't see me, but I'm black, and my family's black, and so it's important to us that the doctors also know that we're not here to be trifled with,
Mm.
right? So that's why we have to have our information ready. My husband and I wear clothes that signify to the doctors, um, that we expect to be treated with respect,
Mm.
and like people. Um, so, there's that extra added layer that we sort of have to perform. But again, it's all to make sure that our child gets the best care possible. So we just do it.
That just makes me want to puke and cry and all of that, thinking about you having to advocate for your daughter, and then there's this whole other layer that you have been dealing with um,
Mhm.
throughout your whole life, right? And then
Yeah.
in a time where that shouldn't even be on your mind because you have so many other things to worry about that you have to do that makes me want to puke, to be quite honest. But thank you for sharing that because I think that's a really important perspective for people to understand that there is discrepancy and differences in healthcare. Um, and, getting treated like a mom is one
Mhm.
thing, and getting treated like a black mom is something different. And it's important for us
That's
to
right.
know that.
That's right.
So take us from, and I would love for you, if you feel comfortable, to keep interjecting those points so that we can continue to learn and understand really what your experience has been like. But take us from kind of those doctor's appointments. I think it was about 9 months you said you started to get that diagnosis, which a lot of parents tell me is, from the outside, getting a diagnosis to people is like, oh, I'm so sad you got that. But for a lot of people, it's like, oh, finally we have a name for this.
Yes, exactly. So what happened was our the second neurologist had a deal with a genetic testing company. The test was normally
Are you
$9,999.
kidding me?
I am not kidding you. I was like,
Oh
oh, we
my
can't
God.
pay that. And of course, the insurance was like, we've never even met you people. So, but they had a deal going where if you ordered the tests through their office, you only paid $99.
Wow.
So this tells you a little bit something about, medical test pricing.
What is the, I
Whatever.
would love to hear like that deal being made.
Right. Well, look, and here's the thing. The company shut down maybe 6 months after we got
No
our
way.
results.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, yeah, it was all
Yeah.
bananas. But so it's very interesting because once again, you're in the office and they're like, we really think we need to do genetic testing to figure out what's going on with your child. Please understand that you are going to get a bill for
Mm,
$10,000. But they should fix it to go to $99. But if they don't, that's not our fault and you can't blame us.
right,
Right.
right. God.
So, yeah, okay, whatever, fine.
Nuts.
So we did get that test taken, and it came back with this triplication on chromosome 15q. And what's interesting about having a super rare anomaly is that people want to correct you all the time, like in the medical profession, because if you tell them you're not a doctor and you walk in and say my kid has a triplication, they write down
Oh,
duplication,
wow.
and you're like,
Mm. Did I
trip,
stutter?
right? Right. I never said, oh, I thought you said duplication. Well, I never say duplication.
Yeah.
What?
Mm,
Nope, it's a trip.
yeah.
Right. And it's different, right? It's even rarer and weirder. And so, we found out that this particular um, triplication now occurs de novo. For her, it was de novo. It just happened in the womb. One of these things that occur. Um, and it's a sort of an issue of trying to figure out, did it come from the mom or the dad, or did it just happen? If it comes from the dad, the symptoms are a lot milder than if it comes from the mom.
Oh,
And of
wow.
course, if it's de novo, anything goes. um, what else? You then find out what are all the symptoms that go along with this anomaly, and those were devastating. Sometimes you don't want to Google.
Mm,
So it's, severe developmental delays, um, autism, possibility that your child won't walk, possibility that your child will never be verbal, um, just all of the things, seizures. Um, I'm trying to think what else. Hypotonia, which is
mm.
weakness in the muscles. Like, and these are all things that we have experienced, the seizures, the hypotonia, the severe delays. She is walking, but she is nonverbal. And then, they said cognitive deficits and or delays.
Mm.
And for me, that was the hardest thing. Um, I come from a background that puts a lot of value on what you know, and puts a lot of value on academic achievement. So I I still struggle with that, right? How she's almost 6. She's not reading, she's not talking. Um, So that's still difficult for me. It was very, very hard to get the diagnosis because I just felt completely out in the middle of the
Yeah.
ocean, um, and feeling like I did it, right? Feeling like, well, obvious she grew inside of me, so there must be something that I did wrong. And although, we've been to plenty of geneticists who are saying, no, that's not the case. It's nothing you did. I still think
Yeah.
that the fact that I was really depressed while I was pregnant with her because my father had just passed, I'm positive that had something to do with it,
Mm.
but I can't fix it now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a lot to carry around, and you're right. I think a lot of parents share those same sentiments. It's hard to get that out of your brain, and even when the world's best geneticists can say that, right? It's just something that
Hmm.
lives with you, and you can maybe learn to tame it, and it does walk alongside you, and that's yet another layer to carry around.
That's right.
And so they gave you all this information when she was 9 months old, and I'm wondering, how did you process that information? Like, where did you turn it into? Where did that either that fire or that sadness, did it get put into her and therapies? Did it get put into a project? You know, did you suffer from depression and down days? What was that like?
It manifested in a couple of ways. One was, okay, I'm going to do whatever you all tell me. So you tell me that the thing to do is intervene early and often. Let's do
Yeah.
it, right? So we immediately signed up for Babies Can't Wait. We immediately tried to get on with all the various therapists that we were going to need. We moved.
Hmm.
We used to live in a different school district, but all of her therapists were saying to us, look, once Baby Can't Wait ends, she's going to be eligible to go to regular school, from 3 to 21. And this is not where you need to be.
Yeah.
You need to be in this other district, where I didn't really want to move at first.
Mm.
Um, but we've come here and it's been wonderful, and I think that they were right. But sort of the way I reacted was, one, I was very, very, very sad. I was definitely depressed. It was really, really hard to deal with because I always thought, even before I became a mother, I was like, well, the one thing I could not handle is having a kid with special needs. That's one thing I cannot do. And of course, that's what I got. So I really had to figure out how to change my mind, and that's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
But we just went whole hog into therapies. She was in speech before the pandemic. She was in speech therapy twice a week, PT twice a week, OT once a week, hippotherapy once a week. On the
Mm.
horse. I'm forgetting. Oh, we did floor time. We did. I forget. There's some Lecotech, which is like play therapy. We did all of the things. Plus, she had a billion therapies at school.
Wow.
Um, so we were just doing them all, and because I do have sort of that critical mind, I'm like, I don't really see where this stuff is going. Like, I
Yeah.
don't really. And my husband's like, are you kidding me? Don't you remember before she could only do, X, and now she can do X plus 3? And I'm like, I'm looking for X plus 10.
Yeah.
So it's good to have him being like, listen, lady.
Oh, well, I mean, I totally see that, because it's like you can't see your kid grow every day. And then when you see family every few months, they're like, whoa, they're so big. You're like,
It's
really?
so true.
Yeah. You don't
Hmm.
notice
Hmm.
that stuff when you're in it.
Exactly. And I'm like, I just wanted her to say something to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, if she's not talking, I'm not interested. And so
Yeah.
he's like, are you kidding? She's feeding herself now, which is
Oh,
fantastic.
wow. That's impressive. Is there any therapy that you can tell she really enjoys, or any that she really dreads?
She hated speech therapy.
Mm.
She really did. She did not like people messing around in her mouth because, when you're very young and learning to chew, like these are things I never knew. You have to be taught to chew. You have to be
Yeah.
taught to swallow, to drink from a straw. Like what?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm.
Like, when her speech therapist told me there are 26 actions involved in chewing and swallowing, I was like, you got to
You're
be
you're
kidding
lying,
me.
right?
Right, right. It was shocking. So, yeah, so she did not like speech therapy at all. But she really liked her physical therapist, so she's always done well in PT. She likes ABA. She's an ABA right now. And she seems to like that pretty much. She doesn't really like being made to work though.
Mm.
So that's how I know that she's
Yes,
mine.
exactly.
It's funny, like, because I had such a monolithic view of people with special needs, and I just didn't know anything, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, we're not gonna get to know what kind of personality she has. Oh, yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. She's stubborn,
Yeah.
in case anybody was wondering,
Yep.
and she thinks she's funny. So
Oh.
for sure, like it's just it's such a change from how I was expecting, and it was really hard for me to see people with like 4 and 5 kids, all of
Mm.
whom were neurotypical.
Yeah.
And I was like, really, you got 4 or 5 out, no
Yeah.
problems? I couldn't get two.
Oh. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but it just is what it is.
Yeah. Um, I'm wondering what if any kind of like unexpected things. I mean, do you think you've taken away from now being a special needs mom? What have you learned throughout this process that you would maybe wish you could tell your former self at that 9 month appointment?
Gosh, I wish that I could tell my former self that she is going to be okay. Um, because even though Violet's not quite 6 years old, I know that she is surrounded by so much love, and she engenders so much love from other
Mm,
people that she's going to be okay. This child has never spoken a word, and we have friends of the family and teachers who love her so
yeah.
much, and she has never spoken a
Mm,
word. And there's power in that, right? It's not sympathy. It's not, oh, I feel so bad for Violet, I love her. It's she's so funny,
yeah.
she's so cute, like she's like shows her little
Yeah.
personality
She's
somehow.
Violet.
Exactly, she's
Yeah.
Violet. And it's really wonderful. So I would tell myself as well, um, to put less pressure on myself because I'm doing everything that I can.
Mm. When you wrote to me, you talked about one of the moms that you had kind of met throughout this process and how she was talking to you about, you can be her mother and not her therapist. And I bet that was like a little light bulb that went off.
Oh my gosh, I felt like this woman had applied a balm to all of my injuries when she said that. It
Oh,
was incredible because I felt like, you take your child to like 5 or 6 therapies a week,
yeah.
and the therapists all tell you stuff to do at
Yeah.
home, right? You can do this, you can try this, blah, 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 blah. And they're all well meaning.
Yeah.
But I not only am I not trained in any of these things, and they are highly trained in it, like I also have another child, a husband, a business. Like,
Yeah.
come on. And I just want to be her mom. Like, I just want to just cuddle her, just hug her.
Yes.
That's what I want to do. I don't want to like massage her cheeks
Oh,
and make her, learn how to chew. You teach her how to chew.
you do
You know what
that.
I mean?
Totally.
Yeah, and so like she just really gave me the license to be her mom and not to feel badly about that. And so I totally appreciated that.
Oh, I just love that message because it's that permission, right? Like, we
Yes,
keep telling ourselves, and I love that culture is trending this way. Like, you are enough just as you are. You're not your job, you're not your family, you are enough. And it's the same thing
mhm,
for our kids, right? Like, we are enough
that's
for
right.
just being there.
That's right.
We're filling the world with so much excess, this and that, and do this, do that, and really just what we have, we're in their life for a reason. And
That's
I'm so glad you found that and that you shared that story with, and I love that the balm applied to all of your wounds. Oh gosh, I can feel that when you say that.
that's how I felt.
Mm. So I would love for you to just share with us what you have created. And you said, you own your own business, you're a businesswoman. Talk to us about what you have created.
Sure. I, as I said, I am Black, and I have these three wonderful little Black children. And my father-in-law had given us a book club subscription when my oldest was about 2 years old. And the books were like really nice. They were sort of the classics, but they were all from a certain time period, like the 1940s and 1950s. And so the books are very obviously not diverse.
Mm-hmm.
And it just really started to grate on me because, I said, but children of color also enjoy summer and playing ball and going to the park.
Yeah.
And what am I looking at here? Right. And I just really wanted books that showed my child that she is completely normal and that her stories are important. And, if you don't see that on the printed page in a household where the printed page is important, then what are we really telling you?
Mm.
So my husband and I started looking for books that showed children of color just sort of doing average things or fantasy things that would be recognizable for kids growing up in the United States. And, to the extent that we could find some, it was kind of difficult. And the other books that we found, they all took place in other countries, right? It's a village
Yeah,
here
right.
or a mountain town there. And I want her to know, no, no, no. Like, it's great to learn about other countries and cultures of other countries, but you need to know that you belong here,
Right.
that you can bloom right here where you're planted.
Mm.
And so I said, gosh, wouldn't it be great if somebody just sent me, fiction books that star children of color and sort of these Western looking circumstances? And we couldn't find one.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So we said, well, let's just see if it's something that people would want. And so we started Jumbo Books. And that's our book club company. And we send our subscribers 2 to 3 books each month that star children of color in fictional stories, just slaying dragons, loving
Oh,
grandparents, begging for pets.
oh,
Just, yeah.
I love it. So where do you
Thank
find
you.
your authors?
We are all over the place looking for books and authors. I have a lot of relationships now with publishers who will send me recommendations. I get a lot of outreach just directly from authors themselves who say, maybe you can consider my book. Also, I used to go to bookstores all the
Mm.
time, Amazon, lists online, just always trying to pull more books. Like I got a shipment of like 20 books today that I need
Oh,
to
wow.
look through to see if any of them are Jambo appropriate.
I would love getting all that mail all the time of new books to look through. I bet that's kind of exciting at first and then maybe a little
It is,
daunting at the end.
yes, my TBR table was groaning under the weight, the to be read
Yeah.
table, just groaning under its own weight. So I finally started to make some pathway into that. So I do feel good about it. um, but yeah, and I also, I send books because now that, I have a child with special needs, it has opened my eyes a lot because I will admit I was completely ignorant of this whole world. And so I try to send books that shows, children of color with different abilities,
Mm.
right? So we'll have, Hello Goodbye Dog with a little girl is in a wheelchair. We've got books about kids of color who have autism or different processing disorders. So There's all we just want to show that it's normal to be you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I just think, I think about Violet sometimes and I get really worried about the world, right?
Yeah.
Because I think she'll be fine, but how will the world react to her?
Yeah.
And I just want to be able to send books that will teach children that it's okay to be different and it's not scary and it's not something to make fun of or to turn away from, that it's just a different way of being in the world. So, when I read a story about so many stories about people who are having mental health crises. The family calls the police, things go horribly awry, and the person in the mental health crisis ends up
Mm.
dead. Or, like the guy who had autism and was like naked in the
Yeah.
street, and the police officer came, and the guy with autism ends up dead. Like that scares
I
me.
know.
Like I know, for instance, if you tell Violet to stop and turn around,
Mm-mm.
she's not going to do it.
Nope.
It's
No.
not because she has a weapon.
Right.
It's not because, she's trying to be stubborn. That's just the way her mind works. Sometimes she'll pay attention, sometimes she doesn't.
Right.
But please don't shoot her,
Well,
right?
and the reality is, because she is black, she's more at risk for being shot than had Violet be white.
Exactly.
That's just the reality.
Exactly right. So I just try to like bury the world in books.
I love it.
Say, look, this is just another way of being. You don't have to be afraid. You're not going to get hurt. Please don't hurt them.
I'm not surprised that you have not only been successful and being an amazing mom to Violet and your three kids, but had this successful business on the side, because it's interesting. The last three moms that I've interviewed for this podcast all have this side hustle turned world changing program. And it's like,
Wow.
moms are superheroes, and then moms who have kiddos with medical complexities, just like literally, there's not even a word for you.
Mhm.
So how has it been, like COVID, the girls at home, the business mom, the special needs mom? Like how did that all shake out now that you're looking back over the year and we're kind of looking into opening up again?
It's been a real challenge.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yes, to say the least, because when Violet is she still does sleep a lot, but when she's awake, she like wants to be right in your face. She wants to type. She wants to sit on your lap. So there's like none of this working while Violet is around, and
Right.
so she started out. This was her pre-K year in online pre-K, but you might be able to imagine what online pre-K was like for kids with no medical complexities.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, and also it was a situation where the therapists were just like giving us all of these activities to do at home, and uh, you know, or we would try to do them online, via Zoom,
Mm.
and that's just way too
Mm-mm.
difficult. So, we ended up actually pulling her out of pre-K and doing ABA therapy,
Okay.
in home ABA therapy. And that has really been very, very helpful to her.
Oh, that sounds like such a good
Um,
alternative to Zoom pre-K.
yes, yes. I mean, and also when her pre-K went back, they went back 2 days a week, and then they were going to send home 3 days of activities. And
Oh
I was
no.
like, no, please
Mm-mm.
don't do that. Don't do
Oh
that.
gosh.
so, so yeah, so she's like learned. We tried potty training. She is not ready.
Yeah.
So fine.
Yep.
Um, but she's feeding herself now. She learned to feed herself. Her executive functioning, I can really see, is improving. Um, she will decide, that she's going upstairs or she's coming downstairs, and we're like,
Wait.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Um,
She
so
keeps you
it's great.
guessing then.
Yes, yes. I mean, and some things she does are so 100% age appropriate,
Yeah.
like just being 5 and being like, "I'm gonna throw all this stuff off of this tabletop."
Yeah. I love
What?
it.
Why would you? Please stop. Okay. Um, so yeah, but it has definitely been a struggle because I have like the third grader doing school. She was doing it from the kitchen, but then she wasn't participating enough. So I brought her into my office, sigh, so that I could give her the evil eye
Yeah.
and encourage her to
Mm-hmm.
talk more in school. So that is, of course, disruptive for my day. And we actually had to hire a nanny to take care of the baby because there was just my baby
Yeah.
is like, look, I don't care what else you're doing, but I need to be held at all times.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, well, how about, I'll strap you on and I'll wear you. She's, no, no, no. I did not say wear me.
I said, hold me with your arms.
I said, hold me with your two arms. Yes.
And one
Yes.
isn't good enough, right? It's like
Oh,
full attention.
yes. And like, so Violet will be climbing up on my lap on one side and Lily's in the other one. And I'm like, well, that's what we're doing right now.
Cool.
Cool. Exactly. Cool. This is cool. Right. So,
Uh,
woo.
I have one last question for you. Okay, two, if because I want you to tell us where we can find and join Jumbo Books. But tell us what Violet has taught you during her 5 years of life, and what gifts has she brought to you?
Violet has brought me the gift of like true acceptance. Um, I think I thought I understood acceptance before, but I didn't because I was always trying to tweak it, right? Always trying to control it. Um, but Violet has taught me the true gift of acceptance and of understanding that there are no mistakes. Um, that was a really hard lesson for me. But when I watch her interact with other people, to the point where I've been told I don't think she's autistic because she looks me in the face. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, trust me, she's autistic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the way that people just react to her and love her and look forward to seeing her, you know, even beyond the other two,
Yeah.
right? It's mind blowing, and I really love that about her.
Oh, I love that too.
Um,
I
yeah,
wish I could meet her. I like.
I know.
Maybe if I come to Atlanta, I'm gonna come hang out with you and
Yes,
Violet.
yes. And the first thing she'll do is let my hand go and grab your hand
Oh,
and walk off with
are
you.
you serious? That is so sweet.
Yes,
Oh.
yes. And I'm like, Violet, you make me look bad. And she's like, I don't know. This seems like a very nice person.
Yeah,
We're
no,
off.
you're the safe person, so she can leave you, right? She's like, I know you'll be
Right,
there.
right, right, exactly.
So if we want to join Jumbo Books, we want to follow along with you. How can we do that?
Well, I would love it if folks checked us out at our website. It's Jumbo Books, JAMBOBOOKS.com. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jumbo Books.
I just love it. Okay, JAMBO.
Yes, which means hello in
I
Swahili.
love it.
So
Well, thank you so much for talking with us today. And do you have any other stories or bits of information or resources that you'd like to share?
well, I guess one thing that I want to share, I'm having a positive day today, but just I want to say to the parents or caregivers who are early on in getting this information, I was really, really mad for a really long time. And I I'm not a psychiatrist, but I'm going to say I think it's okay to be mad. I think people try to force you so quickly into a place of acceptance and love and isn't this better?
Mm-hmm.
Um, that for me at least it was very off-putting. And I just want to say that I think it's all right to be disappointed.
Yeah.
I think it's all right to be angry because for me that was part of those stages of grief of letting go of the family that I thought I was going to have to be able to finally embrace the family that I have. I had been to support groups where people would say, "What? Why are you upset? Like, why are you angry? What would you have to be angry about?" And I'd be like, "Are you sick? Wait, huh? Am I in the right place?
Yeah.
For real?
Oh.
So I just want to give people who have that kind of reaction just the permission to have that reaction and know that you'll come through it. And it might take a really long time, but you'll come through it. But just feel it. Feel the anger, feel the disappointment, and eventually it'll release its hold on you.
I am so glad that you said that because, I have some families that, the positivity is how they get through it. And I hate to think that they're getting sad at night alone. I'd rather them be able to get mad or get upset with people listening and people hearing them and saying me too. So I'm so glad that you're saying that right now. Thank you. Well, I appreciate you and your time, and Jumbo Book's literally going to go sign up right now. And I will link to all of it in the show notes page so that people can get in touch and start signing up and get to know you and Violet a little bit. So thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you so much for letting me talk to you. I really appreciate being able to share my and Violet's story.
Thank you so much, Mijha, for being here today. And I can't tell you enough about how much your willingness to share and to be so forthcoming about how it really is going to make a positive impact on others. I hope all of you listeners come back next week to hear another amazing parent. And I just thank you so much for being here. See you again soon. Thank you for listening to the Child Life On Call podcast. I'm your host, Katie Taylor, and you can follow us at Child Life On Call on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please rate and review to make it easier for other families to find us. We have cute merch available at www.bonfire.com/store/Child Life On Call, and you can listen to more episodes and find resources at childlifepodcast.com.